Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Markets down big again today, and this could just be the start of more downside to come here in our markets. So I want to give you an overview of what's happening today, what's going on out there in the markets, as well as an update on AMC Stock and what's going on with this company. The stock's down 2.57% at the time of recording this video. Now, somebody pointed this out in the comment section. It's funny now that AMC, if AMC just has a small red day, we all look at that as a positive thing, and that's kind of true to some degree, especially when the markets are down as much as they are today. AMC stock only being down about 3% seems pretty positive to me, because it could be a whole lot worse, and that's kind of the trend that we have been following as of lately. So we're going to go ahead and get into all of this information. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Now, I do want to point out it's early in the trading day today, so you're really in no man's land. As you can see, you're kind of trading towards the lows on the S&P. You could either reverse pretty big today, or you could sell off and end your way down here, you know, in the low 430 range. And depending on what happens here, it's going to affect AMC stock. And AMC stock is going to either move up or down quite a bit by the end of the day, in my personal opinion. I expect to see a 5% day. On the downside, I expect an upside. You could be up 1 to 2% today. That is still a possibility, because it's very volatile, and you just really never know. Now, if we take a look at the option activity for the day today and the actual option chain, $8 per share is a pretty important level. There's about 12,000 for open interest at the $8 call. At the $8 put, there is about 13,500 for open interest, and this does expire by this Friday. So you have the trading day tomorrow, and that's obviously going to probably cause a big move as well. We see usually if you have bad weeks for the market, Friday tends to be a pretty rough day as well. You tend to get a lot of selling that does take place on a Friday if the intern of the week was bearish as well. So we will see what happens. Does not look great for this Friday. As you know, as we have pointed out many times, this is the seasonal chart of September, and what you see tend to happen in September is stocks tend to fall after quad witching. So last Friday was quad witching, and now you have seen stocks fall quite a bit. Obviously, it had to do with the Fed, and that's the reason why the markets are selling down here today and sold down yesterday. The Fed is asleep at the wheel, guys. You're going to see a recession. That's just what's going to happen. Okay. The SEP said they expect 1.5% GDP for next year, unemployment to be around 4.1%, and Fed funds rates to be 5.1%. The Fed is officially asleep at the wheel. Okay. The markets were not expecting that. The markets are sitting here saying, hey, how is your base case not a soft landing, and you expect 1.5% GDP next year? I don't know if Fed Jerome Powell slipped and he did not mean to say that, but the math doesn't math there. So the markets are sitting here saying, well, how is your projection so strong, yet you still expect we could go into a recession? The Fed's officially asleep at the wheel. That's just the bottom line to it. So that initial kind of reaction, that realization that maybe we do head into a recession, maybe the Fed is going to be way too late to start cutting rates, and they're going to push us into potentially a deep recession, that's having this negative impact on the markets over the past 2 days, and that's just the simplest way to put it. The markets during this rally has really unpriced any form of a recession. So now that a recession looks most likely, and the Fed says that that's their base case is for a recession, well, you gotta sit here and wonder, how far do markets need to fall to reprice in that possibility of a recession again? I don't know, I couldn't tell you, but it's probably lower than where we are now. And that's going to have its own effect on AMC stock. Now, what we have seen over the past 2 days now is when the markets have been red, AMC stock has also been red, but you're not getting those huge sell downs anymore now that AMC stock is in the $7 range. It looks like you've really hit that bottom at $7.05 per share, and you've been basing out ever since. You've kind of been trending up, but kind of sideways at the same time. You were above the 8-day moving average. You're fighting with it today. The 8-day moving average is at $8.06 per share. That's going to be a big level to be watching for coming over the next, the rest of today and really into Friday. If you close above the 8-day moving average for tomorrow, and for today for that matter, that's really good. That's what you want to see to get a continued kind of move to the upside. Now, at one point, if the sell-off does get big, like I think it could, does AMC start to invert? Does AMC start to rise as the markets do start to fall? I think that is a possibility, something you need to keep on your radar for sure. If that starts to happen, maybe that opens AMC up for larger upside. That is certainly a possibility. So there is that. Let's go ahead and get into some of the actual numbers here with AMC and look at some of the news that's actually happening here today. So some people are worried about a government shutdown. Now, a government shutdown normally is not a problem, but when our markets are so kind of vulnerable to incoming data, a government shutdown is not going to be great news. Why? Because that might mean we're not going to get government data from payroll reports and things of that nature. So if we don't get government data, how the heck do we know what's going on? We wouldn't at that point. So we kind of be in a state of limbo, if you will, as far as data in the markets. And that's something that could be happening. I believe a shutdown could be within the next 10 days. So that's something that could have a larger negative effect on the markets and consequently on AMC stock than a normal government shutdown would have. Normally, government shutdowns during a typical market, when there's not crazy fears of a recession, you don't tend to see stocks perform negatively during that. It's actually somewhat of a positive event to get the government shutting down. Now, if we take a look at things like oil is chugging higher again here today, up 0.62%. Yesterday, you did see a down move in oil, so you're a little bit off of the highs, but the fact that you're still trending upwards, this could be the blow-off kind of rally for oil before you head into a recession. There's a lot of signs that we're heading into a recession, and I think that's ultimately why the markets are kind of freaked out here, because the Fed is just simply not acknowledging any of the warning signs that we're heading into a recession, and they're basically saying we're not going to get that many cuts, maybe 1 or 2 for next year, but that's it. The Fed's asleep at the wheel. That's a scary market to be in if you're a short-term kind of trader. And how the markets are right now is a lot of people are pretty dang bullish, pretty positive on the markets. Fed asleep at the wheel, not a great sign. So those are some of the major events happening. We do have the actor and writer strike that could be coming to an end. We should know more by the end of the day today. That would be a positive for our markets because, believe it or not, back in 07, 08, you had a writers and actors strike. It looks very similar to what's happening now out there in the markets compared to what happened in 07, 08, and in the 1970s for that matter. Now, some data that will be important today in after hours. Japan, we're going to get the inflation rate year over year. This will come out at 7:30 p.m. tonight. The core inflation rate, all the inflation data, stock investment by foreigners, manufacturing PMI, bank services PMI, bank composite PMI, and then we're going to get the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. So from 7:30 to 11 p.m. today, Eastern Standard Time, you're going to be getting quite a bit of Japanese economic data, and Europe has not been well. They're in technical recession right now. China's not doing well. The U.S. is like borderline, but Japan has been doing well. So if you have one economy at least doing okay, doing well, that's better than none. So if Japan starts to look like they're not doing so good anymore, the markets might start to say, hey, we're just going into a full-blown global recession. So that could be a problem. Overnight tonight, you're going to get the UK retail sales data, and the markets will likely react to that overnight. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, same thing here. Services PMI, Composite PMI. That data will come out at 4:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And then you're going to get our Global Manufacturing PMI, Global Services PMI, and Global Composite PMI from the S&P at 9:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're also going to get Fed Cook that speaks at 8:50 a.m. tomorrow. All of these could cause bigger moves in the markets. And again, the seasonality of September tends to be pretty bearish. So go ahead and keep that in mind. These data points will be very important. And I really want to stress that it could have a big move on AMC. It could have a big move on the markets and your portfolio. Again, you want to watch and see if AMC does at one point start to inverse the markets and start to move higher as the markets do start to move lower. Now, let's run through some of this data here. You have a short score of 67, $201 million worth of short positions currently on AMC stock. Estimated short interest of free float at 12.47%. Not accurate number, so keep that in mind. Free float out on loan at 13.07%. Shares out on loan 25.85 million. Days to cover 1.98. Cost to borrow 6.35. And utilization of 62.2. So you do have some interesting numbers here with Ortex. You really have to take it with a big grain of salt. I do think there is a lot of synthetic shorts. I think there's a lot of potentially even naked shorts out there, as we have went over many times. The FTD numbers are absolutely ridiculous. You see FTD numbers on AMC like you don't see them on any other stock, and that's just goes to show you that at any given time there's likely a lot more short interest than what actually meets the eye, what your than the data you're looking at. Now, if you look at the put to call ratio, that is actually falling. This is a pretty good sign. Ever since the put to call ratio started to spike is when you really stop seeing these big, 200-300+% just rallies back in like what we've seen in 2022. You've seen the put to call ratio increase, and there was a lot of suppression on AMC stock. You're starting to get the put to call ratio coming back down. Now it's at 1.2, which is still very elevated for any normal stock, but you were as high as 1.8, so a lot better than where we were. So we'll see if that allows the AMC stock to move a little bit more to the upside if there's any good news or good data that comes out, or if AMC just inverses the markets. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, some of this is a wait and see kind of game. That is going to do it here for this video. Again, for the technicals, the MACD is firmly bullish, trending to the upside. That is great. The RSI is still oversold territory. You're not going to be out of oversold until you see a pop probably to the $9 range, $9 and some change. Once you get over that, that's where the RSI likely turns positive, and you can see some even bigger gains. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That would be the level I would really be watching for over the next couple of weeks, especially if we can close above the 8-day moving average this week. That's going to be a very good sign for a rally coming next week as well. And AMC stock can rally if the broader markets do come down. That is always a possibility. As you can even see right now, markets are falling and AMC stock is actually rising a little bit from the lows, only down 1.9% now at the time of recording this video, as the S&P is starting to get a couple of red candles in here. So that's going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.